day everyone. Today our group will present a topic, the utilization and management of land and nature resource in Indonesia. This presentation is part of the ECO4273 Land and Forestry Economic course under the Faculty of Business, Economic and Social Development. We will share about how Indonesia manage their land and nature resources sustainably from an economic and environmental point of view. We hope the presentation give you useful insight and knowledge. My group members Lashimina, Nur Farhani Ilani, Sharmila, Hani Kistina, Muhammad Zulhusni and Muhammad Asfar.
Let me introduce the background of Indonesia. First, largest archipelagic country in the world, above 17,000 islands, located between the Indian and Pacific Oceans, population 273 million in 2021, for the most populous country. Population in 2014 until 2024, in 2014, 252.70 million, in 2024, 281.64 million, and formerly colonized by the Dutch is 77 countries. Independence on 17 August 1945 by Segorno and Hatta. Consists of hundreds of ethnic and tribes. Each region has a unique language, cultures and custom, known for the principle of Bhinneka Tunggal Ika, united in diversity.
First 4 months of 2025, Singapore exported more than 54,000 barrels of gas oil and 8,300 barrels of jet fuel per day to Indonesia. Its energy
Coal, rubber and petroleum. In coal, in 2016 it decreased $14.9 billion and then increased in 2021 $28.4 billion. Next is rubber, decreased in 2016 in $15.0 billion and increased 2021 $27.3 billion. And lastly is petroleum. Petroleum it decreased in 2020 $5.68 billion and increased 2018 $10.9 billion. Next is import. Import we have a three to. First is food, second is soybean, and third is wind. So in foreign decrease in 2021 $7.38 billion and increase in 2018 $3.25 billion. In soybean decrease in 2016 $1.45 billion and increase to 2021 $3.37 billion. And lastly is
the utilization of natural resource. Indonesia is one of the countries in Asia that is rich in a variety of natural resources. Its abundant and diverse resources have played an important role in the country's economic growth and development. Indonesia possesses a wide range of mineral energy sources, fertile land and extensive marine ecosystem, making it a treasure trove of natural resources such as petroleum and natural gas, and many other have shown reason why Indonesia is so rich in resources, including geological characteristics, diverse ecosystem and historical process. Firstly, geological formation. Indonesia is located on the Pacific Rim. These geological processes have contributed to the formation of various mineral deposits including coal, copper, gold, nickel and other valuable resources. Next, biodiversity and forests. Indonesia is home to some of the world's richest biodiversity areas, including the vast rainforests of Borneo, Sumatra, and Papua. These forests provide timber as well as other resources such as rattan, resin, and medical plants. The diverse ecosystem also support a rich marine life and fisheries. Last but not least, historical and cultural factor. Indonesia has a long history of resource use, including traditional practicing agriculture, forestry, and fishing. This practice, passed down through generations, have enabled the people of Indonesia to effectively utilize the country's natural.
A short presentation based on the research that was reviewed. There are three resources such as palm oil, gold, and crude oil that we'll review, but my friend and I will only present one resource. I will explain the trend of palm oil production in Indonesia from the years 2017 to 2021. In 2017, palm oil production started at 39.94 million metric tons. Then in 2018, it rose significantly to 42.88 million metric tons with a growth rate of 18.52%. The increase continued in 2019, reaching for 7.12 million metric tons, showing a further growth of 19%. However, in 2020, production declined to 44.76 million metric tons, a 5.27% decrease, likely due to the effect of the COVID-19 pandemic, labor shortage, or weather factors. In 2021, production started to recover slightly to 46.22 million metric tons, a 3.16% increase compared to the previous year. In summary, palm oil production showed strong growth in the first 3 years, dropped in 2020, and began to recover in 2021. Thank you.
The graph shows the trend of palm oil consumption in Indonesia from 2017 to 2021, indicating a consistent increase over the 5-year period. In 2017, the total consumption was 9.13 million metric tons. This figure rose significantly in 2018 to 11.57 million metric tons, marking the highest growth rate during the period at 21.10%. The upward trend continued in 2019 with consumption reaching 13.49 million metric tons, an increase of 14.24%. In 2020, the growth slowed slightly but remained positive at 7.61%, with total consumption at 14.60 million metric tons. By 2021, consumption had reached 15.7 million metric tons, with a growth rate of 7.04%. This steady increase highlights the rising domestic demand for palm oil in Indonesia, which could be due to population growth, increased industrial use, and higher consumption in food and energy sector. The consistent upward trend also reflects the important role of palm oil. This presentation discusses the trend of palm oil in Indonesia from 2017 to 2021, covering stock, production, consumption, export, and import. The stock of palm oil increased from 32 million metric tons in 2017 to 35.7 million in 2019, dropped to 30.6 million in 2020, and rose again to 34.1 million in 2021. Production followed a similar pattern, increasing from 39.94 million tons in 2017 to 47.12 million in 2019, then slightly declining to 44.76 million in 2020, before rising to 46.22 million in 2021. Consumption consistently increased from 9.12 thousand tons in 2017 to 15.70 thousand tons in 2021. Export also grew from 28.77 million tons in 2017 to 29.55 million in 2019, but declined to 26.9 million tons in both 2020 and 2021. Import data, however, was not available during this period.
Hi, today I want to discuss about one of them, natural resource, which is coal. From data, we have 5 data about stock, production, consumption, export, and import. For the stock, the graph above show the trend of coal for Indonesia. Its consistent increase from 2017 to 2021, from namely 24,910 to 27,110 million metric tons. For the export, from the graph we can show the trend of coal export in Indonesia is unstable. Starting from 2017, coal export recorded 19.40 USD billion. For 2018 is increased, and 2019 is decreased again in 2020 and increased in 2021 to 29.4 USD billion. For the products, is increased from 2017 to 2019, and then but experienced decrease for 2020, and then increased back 2021, which is 613.99. For consumption, 2017-2019 is increased but experienced a decrease of 3.25 million metric tons, then increased to 3.28 million metric tons in 2021. Lastly, is import at the Indonesia is unstable, namely is increase, decrease, and increase again at 2021. Is 227,107 USD billion.
I will present the trend in crude oil production, consumption, export and import in Indonesia over the 5-year period from 2017 to 2021. Firstly, crude oil production showed continuous decline in 2017. Production was approximately 192,000 barrels, and it kept decreasing every year. By 2021, it had fallen to around 240,000 barrels, which represents a total decrease of about 70.8% over 5 years. This drop indicates issues such as taking oil well or reduced investment in exploration. Secondly, consumption of crude oil showed an inconsistent trend. It rose in 2018 by over 3%, drop in the following 2 years, especially in 2020 during the pandemic, and it increased again in 2021 by around 5%, reaching about 1.5 million barrels. This reflects the recovery of economic activity after COVID-19 restrictions were eased. Third, crude oil export also fluctuated from nearly 285,000 barrels in 2017. Export dropped sharply to just 74,000 barrels in 2019. However, export increased again in the following years, reaching around 170,000 barrels in 2021. Although there was a slightly recovery, the volume remained far lower than previous years. Lastly, Indonesia import of crude oil also showed up and down. In 2017, imports were about 344,000 barrels. They decreased over the next 2 years, increased again in 2020, and fell back to roughly 206,000 barrels in 2021. This suggests a reliance on external oil sources remain but fluctuated with domestic demand and international price.
Presenting Chapter 3, which covers the issues, solution and policies related to land resources in Indonesia. First, the biggest issue is deforestation, especially in Papua and Sumatra where forests are cleared for palm oil. This leads to biodiversity loss and affect the local communities. Another problem is land conflicts. Many indigenous groups don't have legal rights, so when big projects come in, they often get displaced. There are also soil degradation, especially in Java due to over-farming and chemical use, which reduce productivity and threatens food security. As for solution, the government promotes community-based forest management and reforestation. They also launched this one map policy to reduce land disputes and overlapping claims. In terms of policy, there's a forest moratorium that bans new permits and peatlands. The agrarian reform program to give land back to poor and indigenous communities. In conclusion, Indonesia still faces serious land issues, but there are good efforts being made. With stronger enforcement and community support, and land can be managed more sustainably.
I will present on sustainable forest management in Indonesia. Sustainable forest management in Indonesia as one of the world's largest tropical rainforests. These forests are rich in biodiversity and play vital roles in the economy, culture, and climate regulation. However, only certain zones like nature reserve are fully protected while others may allow development under strict conditions. Indonesia categorizes forests into three types: conservation forest, protected forest, and production forest, all managed under the sustainable forest. Definition of sustainable forest management is the balanced management of forests for current and future needs. It integrates environmental, social, and economic goals. According to the International Tropical Timber Organization, forests must be managed in a way that continuously provides both products and services without harming ecological health. The concept of sustainable forest management is built on three pillars: ecological, social, and economic. The ecological aspect focuses on biodiversity and forest health. The social pillar values local community rights and participation. The economic aspect supports long-term resources use. Certification systems and indicators are used to assess forest sustainability, such as minimizing environmental damage, ensuring fair land tenure, and involving communities in decision making. Challenges in sustainable forest management: illegal logging, forest conservation for agriculture, and forest fires are serious threats. These activities cause biodiversity loss and environmental degradation. Weak enforcement and climate factors like long dry season make it worse. Therefore, stronger monitoring, fire response systems, and public awarenesses are crucial. Forest ecosystem safety and resilience. Maintaining forest safety means preventing overuse, protecting biodiversity, and ensuring forest functions like carbon storage and erosion control continue. Resilience is the forest's ability to recover from threats. In Indonesia, land conversion, mining, and peatland fires are major risks. Stronger climate adaptation strategies are needed to protect these ecosystems. Moving on to sustainable land management. It is about using land wisely to meet human needs while protecting the environment. In Indonesia, various technologies support this. GIS helps in mapping and planning. Zoning tools balance economy and ecological priorities. Remote sensing monitors land changes like fires or deforestation. Regional land planning in Indonesia identifies conservation zones, supports infrastructure development, and allocates land for specific uses. These plans require cooperation between the government, private sectors, and communities to ensure fair and sustainable outcomes. Concept of sustainable land management. Sustainable land management promotes ecosystem balance. This involves conserving biodiversity, protecting soil with methods like agroforestry, and managing water resources through efficient irrigation. Zoning helps prevent overuse and ensures long-term productivity of land. Sustainability-based framework. Important policy in Indonesia is the National Action Plan for Greenhouse Gas Emission Reduction. This plan helps the country reduce pollution and fight climate change. It focuses on protecting forests, saving energy, using more renewable sources like solar and wind, and preparing for natural disasters. By doing this, Indonesia hopes to protect the environment and make life better for future generations. I will now briefly explain the summary and conclusion for 5 main natural resources in Indonesia. First, palm oil. Palm oil production increased from 2017 to 2019, followed by a slight drop in 2020. It recovered in 2021. This shows growth overall, but also some challenges due to global issues. Second, coal. Coal reserves keep increasing every year. However, production and exports were not stable. This means coal has good potential but needs better planning to manage supply and demand. Third, crude oil. Crude oil production showed a clear decline from 2017 to 2021. Consumption and trade were unstable. This shows that the crude oil sector is facing serious problems and needs better long-term strategies. Fourth,
So now I'm presenting chapter 5, which is 5.2 recommendation based on the experience of other countries. The first, from Japan, they use strict zoning law to protect farmland and forests. So Indonesia could apply the same to control urban growth and reduce deforestation. So then another country is Norway. They save their oil and gas income in a national fund for future generation. So Indonesia can do this too by saving part of its resources income for education or environmental recovery. Another country is South Korea. They offer tax cuts to businesses that follow green practice. So if Indonesia does this, it can push more industries to be sustainable. So in short, we don't have to copy them exactly, but we can take what works and apply it in our own way. Thank you.
In Japan and throughout Asia, we are farming sustainably to preserve nature and ecosystems. In Laos, we're starting up coffee farms with local partners and helping distribute coffee beans. Coffee plants are vulnerable to direct sunlight, so we encourage farmers to cultivate them in the shade of tall trees. This improves the quality of the coffee beans while protecting forests.
We want to protect forests and farmers. On the slope has helped raise farmer skill and coffee bean production quality. Deforestation is on decline.
It's possible to raise quality and yield while protecting the environment.